Cheers, Buccaneers. Welcome back to Your Friends Podcast. I've been wanting to film this video for a while now. My very first video on my main channel is a video that is very near and dear to my heart, and it was my documentary type video where I was homeless for about 4 months. January 17th, 2022, and I have $63 in my bank account, and I am homeless in Sacramento, California. I felt like the only person on earth. I felt super alone. I feel like I'm living on another planet by myself. Like, why hasn't any of my family contacted me? Like, why do they not care? And the only way I knew how to cope and move forward and get through the days was recording every day and just talking to my phone.
That's a homeless person for sure. I'm a homeless person. Why am I saying that?
It was just me, Pablo in my car, and my Bob Ross air freshener, and my dab rig. That's it. It was us three against the world. Penny, Chip, and Napkin, and I'm SpongeBob. And honestly, it was quite beautiful.
I feel like SpongeBob in the Penny, Chip, and Napkin episode. It's like, take it away, Penny, Chip, and Napkin. Yeah. That's all I need.
And it ended up being a very beautiful, chaotic, traumatic. You really see the ups and downs of like my whole experience. When I first found out I had to start sleeping in my car the very first night.
Like, I genuinely wonder if I'm going to make it through this, because this really hurts.
I've always wanted to make a new video just about what I learned when I was homeless and living in my car, and the things that I accomplished and the things that I learned about myself, because I ended up learning a lot about myself.
I'm just crazy. I'm just a crazy 20-year-old with a fucked up mom and dad.
And it was actually the first time I was able to be completely alone. I've been a serial dater in the past and could never really be alone.
Everyone needs a best friend. I have you.
Being homeless and living in your car in a city where you don't really know anyone, it forced me to be alone, and I think I really needed that in that time of my life.
I'm going crazy out here, living in this car, living in this Camry with Pablo. We're going crazy. Look at us. I haven't slept 12 hours in a month and a half. Have you? POV, we're at a sleepover in my car.
It was definitely a big struggle, but it taught me a lot about myself, and I wouldn't take it back for anything.
Oh my god, what day is it?
And yeah, so let's just dive right in. I'm really excited to share this with you guys. This is going to be a pretty vulnerable video, but it's something that I've been wanting to talk about for a very long time, so I'm very excited. So the first thing that I noticed when I was living in my car, I would go into grocery stores and I had the preconceived idea that everyone was looking at me, everyone knew I was homeless, and people thought I was going to steal from the stores. I've never stolen anything in my life, and even though I was homeless, I looked somewhat put together. I mean, I would shower at the gym, and I was able to afford a gym membership by Instacarting every day, but I still felt like insecure, and I projected those insecurities, and honestly, to this day, I still feel like when I walk into a store, I'm like, oh my gosh, they think I'm gonna steal. One of the things that I did to kind of help myself feel more confident is I would get my nails done. I haven't gotten my nails done since I lived in my car. And over the 4-month period, I only got my nails done twice. It's still pretty expensive, probably like $60 for the lady that I was going to. And they grew out very quick, and I had them for a while, but I just felt that if I had my nails done, that people wouldn't think I was homeless or living in my car. It did give me a little bit more confidence when I felt like, you know, my clothes were dirty. I don't think I did laundry for like 4 months. Like, the next thing I did was, even though I was alone, I was still addicted to Bumble, Hinge, and Tinder.
Who knows? Maybe a little like a Bumble date world tour? That's probably a bad idea.
So I was still on these dating apps and trying to get like that sort of validation to make me feel less alone in the world. And the guys I would hang out with from Bumble and Hinge were so terrible.
And this man just told me a story about how he thinks the cartel is after him.
So terrible. I remember this one time I went over to this guy's house and we smoked and hung out, and he had admitted to me that he was a sociopath, and he literally flat out was like, yeah, I don't think I have any empathy for humans and all this stuff. And he was showing me this family castle that he had in Switzerland that he wanted to take me to, and I was like, uh-oh, red flags everywhere, this is horrible. And when he walked me back to my car, you can tell that I had a lot of stuff in my car, but I was just gonna, if he said anything, I was just gonna be like, oh, I'm in the middle of moving. But no, this man goes, ew, that's so gross, are you living in your car? And like, I fear he ate with that. So yeah, I kind of stopped using Bumble after that. But something really cool, my very first podcast video is titled Megan Page Has Beef with the Sacramento Serial Killer. When I was living in my car, I met this guy, Todd. Now, it's so insane. That story is so fucking crazy. It's crazy. So it's about this guy named Todd. If you want that whole lore, you can go watch that video. But so I actually matched with Todd while I was living in my car, and that's when the whole thing happened, and he acted super crazy and tried to kill me.
What if I get sued? Like, why am I actually scared? No, he will not sue me, right? Like, no, right?
After that, that's when I made my first podcast episode ever. I filmed when I was homeless, which is pretty cool to think about that. And also, the parking lot that I slept at every night was very close to the podcast studio, because the podcast studio and the podcast was kind of the only thing that felt like home to me. At the time, my whole family stopped speaking to me, and I wasn't in contact with either of my parents because I felt like they didn't deserve my presence and they didn't deserve to have me in their life because of how they treated me. I can kind of go into that. It's honestly like a huge thing, but now I am talking to all my cousins again, and we have a cousin reunion coming up. Super excited for that. And I wasn't even talking to my brothers. My brothers wouldn't talk to me at the time, but now I have a really good relationship with them again. Yeah, I just remember like being in that parking lot, and I wanted to be as close to the podcast studio as I could because that was one of the only things that motivated me to keep going.
I'm gonna have the best comeback story, you know.
Absolutely.
Homeless girl in car to #1 podcast superstar.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be great, and I want to inspire people.
Because there was a lot of nights, and you could see that in the documentary, I wanted to give up. I did not want to try anymore.
I look like I'm dying. I bought a new banger, and it's a Rick and Morty banger. Kind of sick. So this is like the only thing that's keeping me like alive right now.
It felt like everything was against me. And
when she was like, yeah, I'm really worried about your mental health and your safety, I'm like, Yeah, me too. That makes two of us.
But the podcast studio always felt like home to me. It always felt like my safe place, and that's why I chose that parking lot, and that parking lot was my home for about 4 months.
It thinks my home is the park. It thinks my home is the park. That's so funny.
And there was a community of car campers, and I didn't really talk to any of them except for one named Dan Van.
There's like a community of car campers, and I'm like, okay, might as well join the community. Like, so I met this guy who lives in his van. We got Dan Van, Dan Van World. Yeah, we're the famous van. Hashtag van life smoke
If you're
sesh.
not having smoke sesh in your van, are you actually in a van?
Yeah, are you actually living in a van if you're not having a
living
smoke
in
sesh?
2000 Toyota Sienna?
Yeah.
With just a bed?
Yeah, with just a twin bed in the back.
You have to live like you don't give a fuck, because like you live in what you're driving, so wherever you go, you have to just be like, I don't give a fuck. Like this is literally me. Like when I get out of my car in the grocery store, like they're seeing me and my house. Everything you see here is me.
Yeah.
It's real as
It's like vulnerable.
You can't hide.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't hide your weird shit in your van.
Yeah. It's out in the open.
It's out.
it's all there.
Yeah, I get compliments all the time though, cause like my little, like all my shit up here.
Scorpio vibes.
Yeah. Every time like, oh dude, you got a cool setup up there, bro. And I'm like, yeah, man.
Scorpio. I'm a Scorpio.
yeah, it's November 10th.
That's when I met Dan Van, and it's crazy because at first I was sleeping on an older guy's air mattress in his living room who I met online. I stayed the night at this older guy's house that I met on the internet last night. Homeless vibes. Like, it was an older guy, like in his late 30s, and he was Southern, and he never like touched me or, you know, was weird. He was super kind, had a Southern accent, and that's not safe, but he was super kind. But it's pretty funny because I kind of felt like my family like ghosted me in a way, which is not funny but also kind of funny.
And what my family thinks. They can suck my d.
But I feel like I almost manifested them back.
You know, I'm just gonna manifest that. I'll figure it out.
So at that time, I had never stuck up for myself in my entire life. Like, seriously, when someone would yell at me, I would just cry. I would just shut down. It's not good to be a pushover because people will walk all over you. And I remember in that video, I finally like stood up to my cousin, and I was talking to him on the phone.
We know that we love you. Like, we want to help, but the current help that we're able to provide doesn't seem to be what you're wanting right now. And I think that is why, and have reduced the amount of contact with you. You can't just go back to how it was around Thanksgiving or in October. The terms of how I'm able to help are different.
I don't feel any support. I don't feel any love. All I feel is abandonment. The word family, I don't know what it means to me. Like,
Sure, because you've had a terrible representation of it from your mother and your father. And I recognize that, and I see that.
I was like, I don't understand, like, you all don't believe in me, and like when I come out of this a better person and you all like realized that you're wrong about me, you all will regret it.
imagine like your whole family saying like they view you as your alcoholic, drug addict mother. They don't give a fuck and basically telling you to go to a homeless shelter. Like, you all missed out. You all missed out. You all gave up on me. And I'm never going to forgive you all for that.
And he literally told me, he was like,
This is the first time I've heard you vocally stand up for yourself as confident as you just did.
and that's what I learned when I was living in my car. I learned confidence. I learned how to stick up for myself because I had to. There was no one that was going to do it for me. There was no one with me or like on my team. I had to be confident in myself, believe in myself, and stick up for myself, even though I had every reason not to.
They all cut me off because I won't go. Because I won't do something that's bad for me. And I won't be around people who are terrible to be around.
To be honest, it's not that surprising that they're all banding against you. Okay, fuck your family, Megan. Fuck them all. To them, you are stronger than what they think you are. All right? You're gonna come out of it on fucking top. It's them doing their tough love. Okay? Because you have left so many places that you cannot stay at. They're not looking at reasons why, they're just listening to other people's side of the story. Okay? This is their tough love. They can go fuck themselves because you're gonna come out of this stronger than ever, okay? I know it sucks right now and it's really hard, but this family of yours they're pieces of shit, Megan. And you need to leave them behind, okay? And it's gonna be a journey and a struggle. This is your journey through this fucked up life, okay? And it's hard, and there's gonna be very trying times for you, and it's gonna be very difficult. Harden yourself up a little bit, cry it out now, but you have to lock it away for now.
Okay.
When I did come out of homelessness and I was an even better person, like learned all these things, and then, you know, I told my family and, you know, my side of the story, and they finally actually listened and took that in, and now I have a good relationship with them again, which is good. So that was one thing I learned, is I learned confidence and I learned freedom. I felt freer than I ever have in my life.
It looks like God is shining on me.
I just had my own space. I had my own space. I had my own freedom, and no one was yelling at me. No one was causing me emotional trauma. No one was stealing from me. No one was verbally abusing me. I felt safe. But with that freedom and feeling safe by myself, it was the most loneliness I have ever felt in my entire life. And the loneliness more than often overcame those feelings of freedom and safeness. And that's what I struggled with the most, is that loneliness, but I had to sit with it. I had to deal with it. I had to sit with it. And I think being forced to do that was very good for me. And I put a lot of time and a lot of work into myself because that's all I had. One thing that I think I'm going to struggle with is when time comes that I have to let go of my car, you know, sell my car, get a new one, that's going to be really hard for me. It's going to be really hard for me to let that car go. That's the only car I've had, my little red Toyota Camry, and she's very beaten up and not pretty at all, but she feels like home, and it's the first time I ever felt like I had a home was in that car in my entire life, throughout my childhood, throughout my teen years, throughout everything. That was the first time I felt safe and I felt like I had a home. And she's getting up there. She's getting up to 250,000 miles, so that's gonna be, I'm gonna have to have like a whole funeral for her. And I'm really proud of the person that I was when I was living in my car.
Tomorrow's Super Bowl Sunday, but I can't watch it in my car unless, I don't know, is there a live stream? Maybe I do watch it in my car. Maybe we watch it. Super Bowl party in the car.
I was on top of everything. I was Instacarting 12 hours a day.
I painted this when I was on shrooms, when I was tripping balls.
And I was confident in myself for the first time.
I rolled these for the guy that I really liked, but now I'm gonna smoke them myself.
And I was reading and I was putting all this work into myself that I'd never done before. I was really fortunate to even have a car. There are so many people my age, older or younger, who don't even have a car and they're homeless. Whether they're couch hopping or they're straight up sleeping on the streets. the fact that I had a car, I am so thankful and grateful for, because a lot of people are not that fortunate at all whatsoever. But another thing I learned is that living in your car is so expensive. You would think like, oh, like I'm gonna save money living in my car. No, that's expensive because you can't cook. You have to buy pre-made food. You have to, find somewhere where you can shower, like a gym. My gym membership was $50 a month. To all the people who watched that first video and are still subscribed to me and still watching my new videos, that's just, even if you watched my first video and commented on it, it meant the absolute world to me, because my goal and my purpose for making that documentary, because at first I just recorded what was going on because I felt so alone. I needed someone to talk to, and I needed someone to see what was happening, because I never thought I was gonna get out of there. It took me a long time to sit down and edit it because I had to relive all the traumatic things that I experienced. But it was really important to me to put that on YouTube as my first video because I felt that it was vulnerable and I felt that people would connect with it. And I knew if there was a video out there like that when I was living in my car, it would make all the difference to me. That feeling of feeling less alone in the world makes all the difference. So when I posted that, the only thing I was thinking about was, I just want to make people feel less alone in the world. Because I know there has to be people out there who are experiencing this or experiencing worse than this. And I wasn't really thinking about like, oh, what if the people I went to high school sees this and it's a mess, I look horrible and it's embarrassing and I cry a lot, and you see every up and down, you see every dark moment, every happy moment, and it's the most vulnerable I've been on the internet. And for my first video it was really, really scary, but I stand by it and I'm really proud of it. Really appreciate y'all for watching this and subscribing, and I really appreciate y'all's time. So, cheers, Buccaneers. Y'all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see y'all next time.
I'm gonna have the best comeback story.
Absolutely.
Homeless girl in car to #1 podcast superstar.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be great, and I want to inspire people.